Welcome back to The Line. Our final topic this week is higher ed funding. State lawmakers have cut funding for colleges and universities in recent years after the state faced budget deficits several years in a row. Now, NMSU in Las Cruces is reorganizing departments and looking at cutting some programs, reduced spending, all kinds of stuff going on down there. And UNM is also facing financial challenges. Here's a recent headline from the Albuquerque Journal. Quote, state cuts fewer students put NM higher ed in crisis, end quote. Janice Arnold-Jones, what do you think? Are we in crisis right now for our ed system? Do the numbers speak for themselves?
Oh, I think the numbers do speak for themselves. And I was just thinking about what has happened at UNM when they did their expansive building program, all predicated on an increase in the number of students. The burden is being carried by the student fees. Right. And at the time this happened, I thought, oh my goodness, my grandchildren are going to be paying for this. And quite frankly, I'm not sure there are going to be enough of those kids. That's how serious it is. So you're looking at square footage. Do we now have too much? Do we have too many branches? I think so. Do we have too many twigs? And yet the wrinkle in all of this is many times those higher ed campuses are the major business in a community.
Gotcha. That's a good point, Tom Garrity, that it's the financial straw that stirs the drink in a lot of communities that way. And if you make a lot of cuts, a lot of layoffs, you got a big problem.
Well, you know, when you look at the growth of our two, flagship universities, University of New Mexico and New Mexico State, when they started their growth, times were good. The recession was, not really in play at the time, or people thought, oh, we'll work through this, it'll help to build jobs and things of that nature. Well, you know what, we're still in a recession, and it's time to really kind of rethink, those universities in other parts that are not located in Albuquerque or Las Cruces, because that's really where a lot of the growth and additional expense, plus with the addition, with the taking classes online, that is an increase. But, then how do you make up, do you provide a safeguard for communities like in Taos and Gallup that have a University of New Mexico campus, to like a hold harmless, so that way they have something for their communities. That's where it gets really difficult. But I think that the management and more importantly the expense issues that we see facing higher ed are a result of massive growth when times were good. Yeah,
it's a good point. Sophie, it's interesting. Tom reminds me that quite a number of years ago now, but when this issue comes up every year here, of course, but if you're going to close campuses, you have to have that telecommuting thing intact. It has to be ready to go to make up that slack. Here in the fifth largest state in the union, you can't just close a college campus and expect people to drive 4 hours one way to go to another one.
This is almost like the Uber conversation that we had earlier today, in the sense that technology has moved past us. So Arizona State University, which is an excellent university, has one of the most robust and most respected telelearning programs in the country. And so you can get your degree from anywhere through the ASU system. You can be in Portales, you can be in Weed. Well, if you have the online there, I'm not sure how there are parts of our state where I'm sure Weed has connectivity, but still, so when we talk about how are we going to serve remote parts of the state, the answer is there are universities that are already ready to do that. And UNM, while it has made efforts in that direction, its program is nowhere near as robust as programs that we see in other parts of the country. I see it already impacting programs at the UNM main campus, where people are not driving in from Gallup to get their MBA anymore. They're not, they're not experiencing education in the same way. So it seems to me, I think there's this really important issue that we've already heard about here, which is that these branch campuses, these smaller campuses, are the intellectual and employment centers for a lot of for the communities that they're in. They can be replaced, and it's already starting through technology from an educational perspective, but not from an economic perspective. And that, I think, is the real challenge. I think is we're going to see the most pushback.
That's right. Underneath all of this, of course, Eric Griego, is the idea that the legislature is looking to take even more money from higher ed now. We've got NMSU President Gary Carruthers saying that could lead to almost a 30% increase in tuitions. And I'm wondering if he's just throwing a number out there to get everyone's attention to say, hey, look, we can do it this way or we can do it this way. But someone's going to have to pay. If the amount of students are dropping, as Janice has mentioned at the beginning of the segment, where does this money come from? What are schools supposed to do, for gosh sake?
Well, I think this, one of the questions driving this is why has the decline in enrollment been so pronounced, and what has this meant for access for a lot of, the argument always from folks in the legislature has been we need to have a campus in every community. We're a huge state. To promote access, that's what the lottery scholarship was all about, and so on. The problem is we haven't, with the competition from these private universities, there has been a boom in online. What does that mean for the overall system? I'm very torn about it because I know that these institutions are anchor institutions in these communities. Universities and hospitals are really in these smaller communities. The only economic drivers they have, and sadly in many of our cities in New Mexico. So, but it gets back to really looking at what's driving the decline in enrollment and not trying to put it on students' backs. The other question I think we have to ask ourselves honestly, and this gets back to where we're putting our state dollars, is this really where we need to be cutting back, as opposed to the $40,000 a year that Sophie was talking about in our correction system? Because it seems to me, if we're going to put our dollars somewhere, whether it's land grant permanent fund dollars or just our state general fund dollars in education, this is a better place to put it than to really continue to perpetuate the growth in some of the areas of our budget that frankly aren't really helping us very much.
Right.
And it all gets down to how do you pay for it. And I don't think it should be on students' back. And this gets back to a federal issue, right? I mean, I think Bernie Sanders was this idea of debt-free college is a big deal. I think there's a huge federal role here.
And how that impacts the the lottery scholarship. I mean, that's how they make it up, is through the fees. The tuition is covered, but now those fees will keep increasing.
Right.
And Eric and I, we agree on something, which is kind of cool. And the fact that maybe that's a good use of the land grant permanent funds is to make universities whole if the universities can promise to commit to cut all of that God-blasted administration and fees. I mean, but that's really the key, because I think part of New Mexico's economic recovery is really found in the strengths of its universities.
What happens, Janice Arnold-Jones, if, all right, we take all these problems, throw them on the table and say, look, let's go the complete other way here. Let's lower the cost of higher education. May not get to free at this point, like a la Bernie, but let's make it almost irresistible for families, for God's sake. If we got the seats, so to speak, to fill, let's fill them and educate our people at the same time. Is that too unreasonable an idea for our legislature, for our leadership here? Do you know what I mean? It's totally counterintuitive, but we got to do something.
And I think there's something to what you're saying. One thing that I know about human nature is that if you have to pay for it, it's more valuable to you, and so you will
even if it's a
show
dime.
up.
That's right.
But the other side is in the model, and Sophie is exactly right. Times are changing, so I look at the University of New Mexico's model of expanding and requiring students to stay on campus in student housing. Do we think we might have a problem coming up because we don't have the bodies?
Right.
Oh yeah, although I hear that it is mostly full, but times are changing.
But what about the idea that Sophie made an interesting point that it's not quite the same experience as being around your peers and professors to talk to, and do you know what I mean? It's not quite the same experience as being 90 miles away.
There is research that indicates that education that happens in the classroom is more effective than education that happens remotely. That's certainly the case. One thing though I want to point out, in legal education, law schools saw this impact of a decline in applications and enrollment, and it really hit probably 7 years ago. And we saw law schools go in a couple of different directions, and one was, let's fill those seats. And what they're seeing is that the outcomes for the people who were the seat fillers can be quite poor. So you come out with a $200,000 student loan weight, and you can't pass the bar exam. You may not be able to get hired. And so when we look at that model, we have to ask for University of New Mexico, NMSU, et cetera. If you fill those seats, what are the outcomes for the people who were not ready for college but came anyway because you promised them something? Is that fair to them to saddle them with that debt?
Good question.
And then also, what is the additional cost to the school? So law schools are having to put in place additional programs to help people who maybe wouldn't have been admitted in the past but are being admitted now. And our universities here in New Mexico already talk about the tremendous cost in bringing freshmen up to math, reading, writing levels that other students are already there, but this group who we've really pulled in are not there. So I think they have to look at all of that stuff. It's not just a matter of saying, we have a seat, you can fill it. It's also a matter of, is that responsible for that person?
Really appreciate it. Good stuff on a Friday night. Thank you all for being here. I'm Gene Grant. Thanks for joining us for New Mexico in Focus. We appreciate your time and effort to stay informed and engaged. We'll see you next week in Focus.
Funding for New Mexico in Focus provided by the McCune Charitable Foundation and the Nalita E. Walker Fund for KNME-TV, the KNME-TV Endowment Fund, and viewers like you.